My fellow Sierra Leoneans, I want to talk to you about the most important commodity in our life, especially with regards to the current state of affairs in Sierra Leone. I want to talk to you today about nothing less but the growing insecurity and unsafety in Sierra Leone. I want to talk to you today about the growing disunity and divide in our country. Sadly, from where His Excellency retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio take power in 2018 to date, we country don't go from one of the most peaceful countries in the world to now a country we don't even know which direction in the head in terms of peace and security. We country go from one of the most cohesive nations in the world, peaceful nations in the world, to a growing level of disunity. One can even conclude that if anybody they aspire for be a bad leader in the future, anybody they aspire for destroy your country and disunite your country in the future, you for learn from the books of President Bio. President Bio Wake assumed power as a man from a military background, a brigadier general na the Sierra Leone Armed Forces. The expectation is that now somebody will be able to come and instill security and safety in the country. The expectation, and it's a very reasonable expectation, that somebody will study and do a PhD in peace and conflict studies. Then you do research and discover something that has never been discovered before. That's how you become a PhD holder. We get a PhD philosophy in a philosophical person, a philosopher. We come to Sierra Leone from a peace and conflict background. It don't can render Sierra Leone so unpeaceful to an extent that you can only compare it to the revolutionary days, the 11 years senseless war days era. Now no more you will compare the current state of security to. And before the pauper boys jump into conclusion, begin to point fingers, hold your horses. Let me speak my mind. You see, because of President Bio in inabilities for bring people together, President Bio in inability for foster peace, President Bio in inabilities for ensure that he will work with the enemy, in inability for compromise, in disgust for opposition, don't make Sierra Leone is ungovernable today. You understand? A lot of people go point fingers and say, now the opposition. This opposition don't want to get the power chance. Opposition is everything that is happening in Sierra Leone. The only answer we power pass then get now the opposition. Insecurity now the opposition. Economic crisis now the opposition. Push now the opposition. Fuel shortage now the opposition. You understand? All the failures, opposition. We're sick and tired of it. But let me get this. Let me point this out. When you get a president where they come assume power and then label more than half of the citizens as terrorists, now president we no want peace. You understand? This is not President Bio in your words describing the opposition where get half of the votes of the country, describing them as terrorists. Then you get President Bio in diabolical chief minister, the former chief minister. The current chief minister is also diabolical, but the former one was worse. The former chief minister will not be in supervisor in peace and conflict studies No wonder how these governments don't disunite and destroy this country in about just 6 years. It come and label the opposition as a criminal syndicate. You understand? The level of recklessness where the BO government don't show in terms of bringing the country together, healing wounds. The level of irresponsibility where they don't show is unheard of. They show say they have this, they behave in a way as if they feel that they're God. They're the gods of Sierra Leone. If you label half of the country as terrorists, you will never have peace in the country. Your rule will never be peaceful. That is what has been manifested today. The opposition has no fault to do with this. It's all the shortcomings of the BO government. And I really like President BO, to be honest. I like him. I like him. God knows I like him. You sit down with the man, you like him. You listen to his vision, his dreams for Sierra Leone, you like him. But the pauperism culture where these presidents don't kind embrace is his destruction. How can a lunatic sitting down in Holland have more power and control over security and safety in the country than the president himself? How? It's because the presidents don't alienate citizens then. It don't turn half of the citizens into enemies. Nowadays, you don't support these guys in election. Do try to make things better. But the moment you oppose them, that's the moment you become their enemies. Either you're with them or you're against them. These archaic, outdated politics within the practice, then they destroy the country in peace and unity. Now, I don't want to mention this idiot in him Namibia. He sits in Holland as the de facto communication minister for Dr. Anes Baikuroma, Yansane and others. In a call for another protest this month, Sierra Leoneans in Freetown are so terrified they are preparing to go back to their villages. Freetown is going to be an empty shell because the president is unable to guarantee the security of the state. Because a lunatic miles away from Sierra Leone is responsible for the insecurity of our state. And the government can do nothing about it. Because government, how many people are in government? How many people within a cabinet, within the whole politicians, the entire politics, the entire civil servants, them? How many people are when a politician, when a SLPP, when they rule the country? How many of them? Can you compare that number? The entire country, I think it's about 24,000 civil servants. 24,000 people with government they employ, or 30,000, whatever that is. Can you compare that insignificant number to 8.5 million population? That is why any responsible government for work with the people, no matter the circumstances, Anes Baikuroma, he been get all in Kukujumuku business, but Sierra Leone was peaceful. The late memories of Dr. Tijan Kaba, he gets all in Kuska's business. He ended the war. He was the fountain of peace in Sierra Leone. Then we finally get Soldier Man, Brigadier for that matter. We get PhD in peace and conflict studies. He come and label half of the country as terrorists. Where is the wisdom in that? That is why Sierra Leone is unpeaceful or is disunited. You talk about national cohesion. No matter how many Bintumanis you call President Bio, it is not going to work if you don't embrace people, regardless of whether they support you or not. Embrace them. And it's by Kuruma employed opposition. Dr. Sandy, when Lance Dennis was employed by Nanes by Kuruma, a steward SLPP member. What have you done, President Bill? You've destroyed the unity we have. You're destroying the cohesion we have. You're crying and blaming everybody but yourself. Your level of irresponsibility when it comes to the security and safety of the state is inexcusable. Let me tell you, as your humble citizen, let me tell you this. As my commander-in-chief, you failed Sierra Leone woefully. It is about time for me to take responsibility for the safety. Don't go being stabbed bullet for bullet or killing people. No. The way you ensure peace and security is to work with the people. The most powerful element in any state is the citizens. It's not the bullets. For this, I could get bullets. But what happened? Momo bin get bullets. What happened? He got kicked out. You came and kicked him out. You understand? You government get bullets, then can raid how they call them, Kokri. They raid with by force, take weapons, empty the national security prison, break over 3,000 inmates, take weapons, take the defend the people. You had bullets, what did you do? It's because bullets is not the answer to peace and security. As an expert, somebody who don't do research in peace and security, you earn a degree of philosophy. You become a philosopher in peace and security. You ought to know better, Mr. President. This is so sad and so concerning that people now in Sierra Leone, as I speak, are preparing to go to their village because they know one day in Freetown where the Kuskas happen for the planned protest. People in Freetown will not get nowhere to go. They are buying food for storeroom because Freetown is going to be empty. Even if people don't go on the streets are going to be empty because people don't feel your government, Mr. President, can protect them. How embarrassing can that be? Imagine the US ambassadors there, all these other ambassadors are going to be there to see what's going on in Sierra Leone. It's because you've turned half of the country to your enemies. You've labeled them as terrorists. They should be partners in development because you're working for them. You are an employee of the state. How can you forget that, Mr. President? So, I am admonishing you, Mr. President. I'm calling on you because I want the best for your SLPP government. I want your memories, history to judge you fairly. I have sat down with you and I know you have the best of intentions for Sierra Leone. So I'm calling on you, Mr. President. You balance 4 years we don't left. Don't waste it. Don't throw it away. Dissociate yourself from pauperism. Embrace APC, and whoever comes that has the ability to make a difference. Embrace them, Mr. President, so that you can transform Sierra Leone. Because right now, Sierra Leone is not safe. Citizens don't feel safe. They don't trust your government to protect them and their properties, their lives, their kids. Whatever this idiot says in Holland, they follow it. Ranting, finished ranting. Thank you very much for listening. God bless. A.R.P. Thomas.